I'm co-founder of Loud Parade, which is an award-winning music creative agency. We solve everything music and sound for brands, creative agencies, and also production companies, handling all of your needs. So that can be anything from original compositions to bespoke music to licensing tracks. So if you have Taylor Swift budget, give us a call and we'll sort you out. Now, we all know the importance of music and how it shapes our culture. We're going to dive in today about how you can use music and also commercial radio could benefit and target Gen Z using music and sound. Let's get into it. Now, before we get into Gen Z, we need to really understand who we're targeting. Now, technically speaking, Gen Z defines anyone who was born between 1997 and 2010. So again, it's that digitally native generation that have grown up with social media, the likes of TikTok, with Instagram. They're very savvy, they build on communities, they love things like gaming, streaming, and essentially they're very political in nature. They care about the environment, and many Gen Zers actually see it as an activity to go out protesting, to speak with their friends about things that concern them, whether that's about the environment or politics as well. They're a generation that have seen quite a broken world and want to fix it and come up with solutions to resolve it. As I'm sure lots of you who may be parents in the room understand how aware they are of what's going on socially speaking. I mean, I'm 27, so I'm just in the Gen Z category. I'm literally an old Gen Zer, which is crazy to think. But even I see it with my younger peers, how aware and engaged they are when it comes to social issues. This is something that on radio in particular, you should be aware of and make sure that the targeting and the positioning is authentic, because this is the key thing that Gen Z look for with brands, authenticity. Now, it's important to understand when it comes to community building, to use the right influencers, to use people that Gen Z respect and actually care about. Naturally, when it comes to Gen Z, they're not a monolith, there are different types of Gen Zers, but it's important to understand the sub-communities that are really powerful when it comes to targeting Gen Z. So you have the likes of the Swifties. Who here's heard of the Swifties? Raise your hands. Should be everyone in the room, right? By the way, Taylor Swift brought 1.2 billion to the UK economy with her latest tour. So yeah, that's something for our politicians to be aware of. Awesome. So why are Gen Z important from a commercial perspective? I know we have some business people in the room, so let's go through the numbers. See that 19% of the population in the UK are actually Gen Zers, so they make up a significant proportion. We also see that in terms of the working labour force, 33% are made up by Gen Zers as well. And on top of that, when it comes to brands, 25% of the total retail spend in the UK economy actually comes from Gen Z and millennials as well. So it's important not to just understand that Gen Z are politically savvy, they're very social, but actually commercially, if you get them to buy into your brand at that early stage, you can have them for life. Now, bringing it back to radio, which is really important as we're all here today, see that commercial radio still is the main audio medium to reach 15 to 34-year-olds. Now, a lot of my friends, a lot of conversations in the industry say that radio is kind of dead, it's for the older generation, but in fact, the stats show that when it comes to targeting younger people, radio is still a trusted medium, and audio as a whole is still a trusted media. So rather than give up on it, we need to double down and adapt to the changes in society and the young people who are actually driving these changes as well. Now, we've spoken a lot about youth culture, and culture is something that's really important to me. It's something that gets thrown around a lot, and a lot of people try to leverage the culture, but as I mentioned earlier, authenticity is a key part of cultural engagement. Now, if I were to give a dictionary definition of culture, I would say it's like the customs and the norms of a particular society, but really culture is something we all experience every day. So on screen we have a few things in culture. Who's a sports fan here? Sure, most of the hands will go up. Yeah, big Arsenal fan here, just saying, won the derby, but that might lose me some friends, but it's all good. We've got film and TV, which is also part of culture. And you even have advertising, which we all do in here, right? That is a part of culture. Yes, advertising has become a bit more intrusive these days, but really the way it started was through creativity, through ideas, through storytelling, and this is all part of culture. And naturally, we're all on our phones, social media, that's a big part of culture as well. You look up, you see billboards. You look down, you have ads that are trying to get you to buy the next thing from Boohoo if you're me, or whatever you're interested in. Again, that has become part of culture. Now, just going into stats, we see that 38% of consumers think that a brand's involvement in culture is actually really important. 39% of consumers prefer brands that have a high cultural relevance. And we even find that a brand's cultural makeup is worth 25% of purchasing decisions that consumers make. So again, showing that importance of being authentic to culture and buying into culture when you're a brand. Now, the reason we're here to talk about music, and the reason why music is an important part of all of our lives, is that it's the one facet out of all of these things that permeates throughout all different assets of culture. So a great example, and we'll get into it, is, the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, to be honest, no offense to the Americans in the room, but no one's really watching the football, right? We're all there for Usher's performance, the halftime show. Kendrick Lamar's just been announced as the next one. We care about the musical side of it. That's something that brings people together. It gets conversations going. And then when it comes to a brand being involved with that, Apple Music's halftime show. Naturally, they're embedded in culture. So that's just a quick example. Now, going back to Gen Z, which is the topic of this conversation, we found that 90% of Gen Zers stream music. And comparatively speaking, that's more than other activities such as video games or watching YouTube. So again, it shows the importance of music when it comes to culture and capturing Gen Z. So when it comes to your messaging, it's important to think about which musicians and artists you're working with, to think about who's going to be the next one coming up. And rather than investing in those that are already on their journey, why not find the next best musicians, tap into the culture and grow with them, and their audience will become your audience. Now, shout out to my man Stormzy. 68% of Gen Zers say they remember a brand better when they actually use songs that they like. And yes, in a week, a whopping 20 hours of music is listened to by Gen Zers, which is insane. Now, it's really important to note that music is also a key part of expression. So there are a lot of reports that actually look at this. So in terms of music nowadays, it's not just about how it sounds, it's about being part of a community. Now, something I want to tap into a little bit is stan culture. So stans are basically super fans. They're people that make their whole identity about an artist and actually hang out with other fans or stans and debate and argue, and sometimes troll, unfortunately, on social media, just talking about that artist and why they're the best. They become literally obsessed. This level of engagement is what you want people to have about your brand. But rather than do it separately, why not bring in music into your strategy so that it's done in an authentic way? And we use the Taylor Swift example. Yeah, there it is. We use the Taylor Swift example because she is the epitome of this. People are bought into, to be honest, I hope people don't shoot me here, but the music isn't necessarily the best thing ever. It's not reinventing the wheel. But who she is as a person, her life outside of music, where she appears, she's got so many new fans into the NFL just because of her dating preferences. Like, that is insane, right? That influence is key, and brands can actually leverage that in an authentic way. Funny clicker today. So, tuning in, we see that music is magic at Loud Parade, and there's actually some science behind this. Now, there's actually a part of the brain that lights up when you hear a piece of music. And there was actually a Pfizer report that talked about the importance of music as medicine, as a healing method. So when it comes to radio, you put the radio on. I won't mention which stations I listened to growing up, but there are certain stations that I listen to that give me instant nostalgia, remind me of school trips with my mum, driving in the car, that sort of thing. So again, it shows the power of music because it literally affects a part of your brain that is specifically focused on memory and associated with memory. We also find that music as well, it releases dopamine, which is the pleasure hormone. So essentially, when you hear a piece of music, it can soothe you. So yeah, that's why we see music as magic. Not just because it is magical, but there's actually scientific backing about how powerful music is as a medium for connecting emotionally. Now, the power of emotions on audio. Now, it's important to note that positive emotions lead to more consumer action. So this is why it's important from a commercial perspective. And we're in advertising here, so we're all master manipulators, let's be real. We want people to feel a connection with our products. But really and truly, when we're so overwhelmed with so many different products, Like the marginal difference between one competitor product and another probably isn't that much, but what's gonna make the difference is obviously the positioning, but also the feeling that you get when you use that product or you buy that product. We buy brands not necessarily because of what they do for us, but how they make us feel and what they represent when other people see us wearing that brand, for example. Now, positive emotion makes ads more likely to be famous. This is why a lot of ads, for example, you actually remember them more because of the music sometimes. I think of Phil Collins, like people my generation probably didn't really get to see him at his heights, but you mentioned Cadbury, reminds you when you're a kid, that amazing ad, for example. So yeah, it just shows the power of music and creating positive emotions, which then increases your probability to convert that sale. And yeah, ads that elicit a strong emotional response lead to greater recall. Now, this is specifically important, and if you forget everything in this talk, defo remember this. Music and audio is so powerful when it comes to recall, so brand recall, i.e., you're in the shower and you're just humming that We Buy Any Car song, you're like, wait, what? I remember it, That's recall, bringing you back to that moment you first heard the ad, associating your mind with that ad, with that product, long after you first had that touch point. Now, at Loud Parade, we're very big on bespoke music and audio, and we're really grateful to speak today. And we understand how important it is for bespoke music to leverage emotions and to increase the quality of your audio ads, because that's what we're going for here. You guys have a lot of money in terms of volume, ads, you put a lot out, but it's about increasing that quality so that you can be the difference between your competitors. So we feel like music subconsciously can influence those purchasing decisions, and it can help you to elevate your brand a lot higher. And bespoke audio in particular is said to have 7% more engagement compared to recognizable songs. So again, that shows the power of bespoke audio. And by bespoke, meaning that crafted audio that is handpicked, not something generic, not something that's already recognizable, but something that's relevant to that particular situation. That's what we're talking about here when it comes to bespoke audio. Now, our tagline is actually let the music speak. I heard there's a few technical errors here, so hoping this works, but going to play you some really cool examples we did recently. The first was actually with JD Sports and Nike, which was a bespoke track we made with UK rapper Morrison, who signed to Sony. So we crafted a bespoke track for the new Nike Vapor Max. And the next one I've heard is a crowd favorite is the Ben & Jerry's bespoke audio that we created as well. So I'm going to stop talking and let the music speak, hopefully.
JD have just released the first virtual shoe try-on branded effect on TikTok. It's for the Nike Vapor Max.
I'm 10 toes down in the ends in my night trainers. White vapors, fresh out the box looking like flavours. If I give man a tick, then that's life changing. I got 8s and 9s, but the size ranges. And you better know I'm on an Air Max ting. If you step onto my crep, then I will air that ting. Are you ready from the ends? Do you really hustle? Grab the JD bag and make it be shuffle.
What do you think of that? It was all right. No. It was a real honor, one of our first major campaigns. And again, that's with a fresh, cool sort of Gen Z leaning brand. But let's have a look at another brand that is also cool, but everyone can get involved, a more family-friendly brand. Let's go, Ben & Jerry's.
Taste. I've been in the mood for a change of the flavor. Ben & Jerry's caramel choo-choo craver, cookie dough shape, or the half-baked strawberry cheesecake. Can I get a taste?
I just need a chocolate brownie. Put them all around me. Swimming in the flavor, don't drown me. If you see me take another scoop, just allow me. I still do it proudly. Salted caramel brownie I like. Strawberry cheesecake, apple of my eye. Sunny honey home, I just want another bite. But a Netflix and chilled is the best in the night.
Can I get a taste? I've been in the mood for a change of the flavor. Ben & Jerry's caramel choo-choo craver, cookie dough shape, or the half-baked strawberry cheesecake. Can I get a taste? I've been in the mood for a change of the flavor. Ben & Jerry's caramel.
I got a bit carried away. Is this a conference or a club? But that bass is a bit too strong, but I hope you guys enjoyed that. So again, it just shows the power of music to bring a brand to life, to give it a tone of voice. And again, just highlighting, I know I keep saying the bespoke element is really powerful, and Gen Z really engage in that. Everyone wants to feel special, like things have been personalized to them, because advertising in general can be quite generic. And yes, things are becoming more targeted, but a way to make that less intrusive, we think, is through creativity, music, and also sound. And just as a thought experiment, Who in this room does not listen to music? That's my point, right? So everyone can benefit from this. Naturally, there's a craft to finding the right taste and targeting, but that's where testing comes in, and we're going to talk about that in a second. So yeah, away from Loud Parade, naturally, bespoke audio, sonic branding has been a powerful thing in radio. We remember the days of the cheesy jingles. But yeah, going to play you a few examples of jingles during my childhood, definitely, that were really prominent. So yeah, everyone knows the famous McDonald's ba-da-ba-ba-ba. So that was actually sung by Justin Timberlake. So Justin Timberlake, Pharrell and Pusha T actually created this very short but iconic sound that represents the brand and has lasted literally hundreds, well, not quite hundreds, but feels like hundreds, like 20 plus years, for example. Again, an old school classic, you've got the Intel startup Sonic logo. Again, building that trust, that understanding that your computer's working, which is good. Something a bit more newer school is the Netflix da-dum. Again, it's kind of like a signal that triggers your mind and you know that you're going to be watching a great show. It builds that anticipation. I think what's really exciting about bespoke audio in particular is it's so short, but it has such an impact. That's probably like my favorite thing. Like just using a football analogy, I love players that have they have maybe 3 shots, but they'll score 2 goals. It's just like that efficiency is really exciting because it means less cost and also more productive as well. And then lastly, for the gamers in the room, don't hide. I'm sure you guys remember that. A bit of a throwback, but the PS1 startup sound. So, linking this back to Gen Z, we've looked at how important audio is, particularly bespoke audio, how it's bigger for engagement. We've looked at a few examples of how we've crafted bespoke audios for some of the biggest brands. But it's important to now recognize how you can create an audio ad that will actually attract Gen Z. So we've come up with some top tips. Well, the first one, if you didn't get the message already, is use bespoke audio. Make sure it's crafted, make sure it's personalized. Obviously, we're in advertising. Oh, those timelines can be crazy, you know, trying to get things in, trying to get people briefed. But it's important to think ahead and implement bespoke audio into your strategy early on. It's important to be consistent as well with audio assets. That's what builds trust and recognition. So whether that's the type of artist you work with, the genre, the positioning, it's important to be really consistent so that people understand it's tied together and can recognize it very quickly. And then probably the key currency here is authenticity. And this is particularly when it comes to Gen Z, i.e. Generation Cancel. So Gen Z are very quick to cancel or, you know, forget brands who they feel aren't being authentic. So it's important to be authentic to the brand's messaging and also the target audience. And as well, tap into genres that Gen Z are interested in. So who's heard of Brat Summer here? Anyone? Perfect, yes guys. So we've got Brat Summer, you know, that hyperpop sort of sound that's gone viral recently. Just understanding that music's always evolving, there are always new trends, and there are ways for you to tap into that as well when it comes to targeting the younger audiences. And also, as you might have guessed, like, be funny. Like, in life, put a smile on people's face. So yeah, being humorous, being cheeky, being playful is a great way to tap into emotions. People can remember you more for that. So yeah, it's important to understand that that kind of banter, that irony, I kind of call it, that kind of tone does really well with Gen Z as well. And we all have it in us, so just bring it out a little bit. And lastly, and something that we're quite big on at Loud Parade, is testing the effectiveness of music. So we actually use AI tools and data tools to test all of the audio that we create, and we use panel testing. So rather than just put something out and then kind of hope it does well, before it actually goes into market, we do a lot of testing to make sure it actually hits that target audience. Take that extra time to test because you'll save a lot more money if you know it hits that specific group. So yeah, my name is Rahmon. I'm co-founder of Loud Parade. If you have any questions, I'll be here, so do let me know. It's been a pleasure speaking with you guys. And yeah, thanks for keeping me company.